Hello and welcome to I Came Here With Nothing. We have a very special guest with us, Andrew Barney Barnett. Do you like the Barney?
I do, just because it's what everyone's always called me. So it's like it feels weird to like. Often I'll introduce myself to people like at a thing. I'll introduce myself to people, but I'll be like, "Oh, g'day, I'm Andrew," and people look at me. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Barney." Like it feels weird to introduce yourself as Barney.
Yeah.
But it's the main thing I answer to.
Because Barney could be a first name.
Oh, mate, so many people think don't, and it's sort of in some ways been a bit of a hindrance in that people that sort of watch me on Fox and that just knew me as Barney, and then they never join the dots that Andrew Barnett is Barney. Like what?
And that's why you've got to do like the Andrew Barney Barnett.
Yeah, I know, like the old footy cards with the inverted nickname and the inverted commas in the middle.
Is it a nickname you've had since you were young?
Yeah. Since high school.
And did you ever make the decision, okay, this is going to be my stage name, or was it just when you got on the telly and the radio, we need a wacky name for this young bloke?
It was when I first started doing the stuff on TV. Because it is a name that I just let other people call me. Like I never introduced myself.
Pick your nickname.
Yeah, you can't pick your nickname, mate. I played hockey with a guy who tried to pick his nickname. One year, he
Big
just
dong.
goes, "Oh yeah, nah, guys, call me Razor."
Give me Girth King.
Yeah,
Call me Donkey.
mate. It's you know what?
Razor?
Whatever you try and pick, that's not what I'm calling you.
What's
So,
Razor? Was he bald? Or
I forget what
he
the
had
thing
sharp
was.
wit.
Razor. I forget why it was Razor. It was something to do with his name. but-
Razor's a shit nickname to give yourself. Give yourself something good.
Oh no, mate! I played a season of. See, the thing is, you don't get to choose what you get called. Right?
Especially
I played
in Australia.
Yeah, well, I played
And
a
it's
season.
normally just your last name with a Y.
Well, this is the thing, but I played a season of hockey. Well, it was my first season playing with this one team, and I played a whole season as Fergo. Because like 2 games in, one of the guys started calling me Fergo on the field, and it's too like you're in the.
Did he think your name
You're in the thrust.
was Ferguson or something?
Don't know what happened.
Just
So then everyone
stuck.
started calling me Fergo, and then towards the end of the year, one of the blokes goes. He's like looking at the team sheet. He goes, "Why do we call you Fergo?" I'm like, "Mate, I got no fucking idea why you guys call me Fergo," but it just got too far to correct. So yeah, I answered to Fergo. I played a year of cricket with the side that called me Chunky,
That
which
seems
was
like
awesome.
a personal attack.
Yeah, no, it was.
I mean, you're a pretty slender bloke.
Solid-ish unit.
You know
but,
Tubby
yeah.
Taylor.
Well, but I wish I could bat like him. Jesus,
Yeah, that's it.
that guy could bat all day.
That's when athletes were athletes. You could be a fat cunt and still be a professional cricketer.
Mate, see, the thing is, I reckon you look back at those days. They actually weren't fucking fat.
No,
Like,
they
you
were
look
probably average. They're just
Yeah.
our athletes now are lean and mean. And
but yeah, you look at Tubby Taylor in the day. Like he was probably like we all went, "Oh, Tubby Taylor," but now he'd be skinnier than your average person on the street.
yeah,
Like,
true.
The average person's getting fatter. Our athletes are getting more.
Our athlete, like
fucking
even
ripped.
look at the Australian cricket team. Like especially, I guess the
yeah.
fast bowlers have always been skinny, but like those boys are like Mitchell
Well,
Stark.
I don't know about Merv. Merv wasn't ever skin. Merv was but once again, Merv like that was the whole thing. Oh look, Merv's put a bit of weight on, but mate, it was marginal.
yeah.
Like he could probably pinch a little bit around his belly, but
And he was still rolling them in.
yeah, he's still an athlete. Still played Test cricket.
Yeah, that's right. He was at the top of his game. And like Warney as well. He was a bigger bloke, especially towards the end of his career, but he was only doing 3 steps for a run-up and he was batting at the tail end. He didn't need to be fit.
Yeah, but once again, I don't even reckon he was that big. Warney was bigger than you, like a bigger frame of a guy than you thought. Like I did the first time I met Warney, I was surprised how tall and how broad across the shoulders.
I would imagine he was a smaller, shorter guy.
No, Dave Warner on the other hand.
Yeah, very. I've met
So
him,
he's
yeah.
like,
little
you think
stocky
on
bloke.
he's stocky, but even then, he's actually kind of like thin and small, and yeah. So he was like Warney was bigger than I thought he was going to be. Dave Warner smaller than I thought he was.
Maybe
going to be.
cricket is sort of the perfect sport for any kind of body shape.
I reckon it is, and that's what I kind of like. That like I think rugby union, you can still have weird body shapes too, like not weird body shapes, but a range of body shapes.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like AFL, like heights change, but not really a whole lot of body shape types. And then rugby league is getting more and more Sort of like there's still a few littler blokes getting around, but it's getting more and more.
If you're small, you've got to be like the most skillful player in the world.
Yeah.
And avoid
super quick.
Quick and avoid getting tackled or know how to get tackled. Like who went their entire career not getting injured? Cameron Smith never got injured.
Yeah.
And insane. Like but he was a little bit bigger for a back.
Cameron Smith he's tall, but he was what they'd call he almost had that what they'd call farm boy strength. They reckon he was like guys you talk about like that had just ropey like muscles, like not like big like bulky muscle, but muscles like old rope. Like was just he like fucking strong?
He was plowing the fields back in the day.
Yeah. I don't know. He grew up in Logan.
Farm,
So I don't know even where he had a field to plow. But
I feel like this podcast we never get into much sport chat, but it's something you and I often do at gigs. Yes. And mainly because I know you from the telly and I know you from the radio and I don't really know you from comedy that much. I grew up kind of watching telly and those sort of shows, and the first thing I think we kind of connected on was a bloke called Chris Pagey Page.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of Pagey. I'm a big fan of his radio abilities. He's a great broadcaster, a great anchor. He's back in the game, have you heard?
Yes, I'm excited to see he's back in the game.
And he's doing something very different, but that's sort of what he started out doing.
Really?
Before he was the Triple M guy, he was on Hot 30, I believe. He did a night show on Today FM or that network and did some really cool stuff and then did Hot 30. And he came up through the radio school wanting to be, I think, kind of, like a pop guy. What would you call it? On a hit music network. Yeah. But then he knew his sport, so they sort of threw him in with Matty Johns.
Yeah, and he was funny too. I remember...
So smart.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
huge amount of references.
Early doors, Matty. I remember Matty saying, like when they were working together, mate, he's really good, really smart, really funny,
extremely smart. But also his references. Him and Hamish Blake have like this similar thing where they just pull out obscure references that are only for like 3 people listening.
Yeah,
like once Pagey brought up something that I don't want to defame this guy, but he is dead. Do you remember the old rumor about Don Lane?
No.
So there was a rumor that he liked to go under a glass coffee table and watch someone do something to it.
See, now I've heard that rumor about, I forget his name, a Hollywood producer. But I didn't know Don Lane.
I thought it was the Don Lane, and I don't, rest in peace, bro, but... Pagey said, the old Don Lane, and it just cracked me up. And knowing that I and only a couple of people listening would get that reference, I kind of like that it's just for us.
Yeah, he's very, very, he always, like, I think one of the great things about comedy is your references, the more specific you can be, the better. Like specificity it makes a massive difference in comedy. And I remember one of the jokes, I think he might have even pitched it and wrote when like the first season of the Professor's show when he was on that. We had this joke about it was a question, who did cheating better, and it was like the like it was a poll between the
Melbourne
Storm and I forget, and maybe it was Parramatta because they'd had a salary cap scandal or whatever. But then the answer was you got the results of the poll, because he always used to put a fake poll out, and we've got the results. The answer was C, Fui Fui Moi Moi, who'd just been caught playing up on his missus, and he had and it was just like, and I remember a bloke saying to me, a fan of the show, a big rugby league guy, he goes, you know what I love about that show is, he said, it doesn't worry about making jokes that you'd have to, like, that rugby league fans know, that doesn't care about trying to make it too broad for the audience, which it was, I think, was one of the things we tried to balance. Like, you could make a real specific reference that, a lot of the audience would get, or some of the audience would get, but then as long as you're giving enough that everyone can get accessible.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go too specific that it's so niche that people just, like, unless you're in a club, you get confused.
Well, you had a very unique time slot because your lead-ins were 2 football games.
Yes.
So your fan base were watching 2 back-to-back footy games. They would know their footy.
Our fan base were people who fell asleep on the lounge and forgot to turn the TV off.
The cat mostly. And dog just watching.
No, it
wasn't that late. And this is what I hate about Australian television. We don't have late night.
No.
But it wasn't even that late. What time does the footy end on a Friday? Like 10?
Mate, if we could get on before 10, it made a massive difference to our ratings.
So if you went
if the games went long, it was always like, fucking hell. But if it was a good finish, we'd hold Like it was one of those things where you don't even.
Would you cross to the game? Like do a quick interview?
No. So early on, like they. Early on, they just go straight from that to us, and then towards
you were
the
live,
end,
weren't you?
First season we were live, and then second and third season it was live to tape because it's hard to get an audience.
True. But wouldn't you bring in a few beers and pizza and go watch the game?
Yeah, but that also has its downsides. So we used to record while the first game. It was fucking an insane edit. So
then you couldn't mention the second game.
No.
I hate that because Jimmy Kimmel over in the States has a late night talk show on ABC owned by Disney. He records at 6 p.m. and considers himself to be the latest of the late night show because everyone else records at 5.
Well,
and
when he first started, he was live.
And Colbert's going live with election stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He wants those real meaty topical jokes who no one cares. But yeah, I love that. He records at 6 p.m. thinking he's going to get the edge.
But it's, I think that's, I'd be surprised if that's not to do, as much to do with the audience you get at that time and the audience mood, like the mood set of that. Because if you, I remember I started at Fox doing audience warm-up, and I remember doing, I used to do warm-up for a show called The Other Rugby Show.
Rugby Union?
Yeah.
And they had a live audience.
Audience.
Cool.
And I didn't
know what
it was
anyone
good.
Watched rugby, let alone a panel show.
Yeah, back then there was a bit more, and there still was rugby on Fox at that stage, and moved that on. So, but it was a decent show. Like it was who was it? It was Andrew Mertens was on it. So yeah, it was anyway. Beside the point. But they used to move their records around based around the guys' availability and that sort of stuff. And at one point they were mostly recording at a Tuesday about lunchtime. And they were like, the director's like, man, it's really hard to get an audience. I'm like, yeah, because rugby union fans have jobs, man. What are we doing here?
They're lawyers and doctors.
Yeah, they're busy but it's just, I mean, and that's the thing. Like you got to, with that sort of TV where you're doing it in front of an audience, you want the energy to feed off the audience, and you want to put that out into the world. But also you need to be aware they're not your only audience.
Yeah, my dream is to host a late night show, and even if I just do a one-off pilot and sink a bit of my own money into renting a studio and all that stuff, I'm going to give it a go. But I'm thinking about getting a warm-up guy. I'm thinking about carting in some tourists or doing something to get an audience in there.
You need a warm-up guy.
Maybe a bit of alcohol. I don't know,
mate. If you can get a little bit of grog into them, that's not too bad. There's a balance with that because you don't want them too pissed.
Well, that's the same with stand-up as well. Stand-up can go horribly wrong. Did you ever? You probably are a bit ahead of this, but we used to do a gig at the Townie. The Newtown Townie, and it was an open mic, and you'd have 40 acts on performing in front of a group of people that did not want comedy.
Yeah,
they were there to play pool and drink beer. So we get up and we're just absolutely eating shit. But towards the end of the night, they were a bit lubed up, and you could kind of get them if you went on later. But I was emceeing one night, and a young girl overdosed in the bathroom, and paramedics just wheeled her out past the stage while I'm up there doing my best gags. It was a tough room.
Oh, show business.
The business of show.
So glamorous. So glamorous.
I feel like, we've never really connected over comedy, but we've always had this sort of connection of sport and broadcasting. You've been involved in SEN Radio, which I used to work for 1170 AM when it was
the Christian.
I panelled a show called The Sunday Night Open Line with Kel Richards, and it was a conservative Christian talkback show. And I tell you what, it went off.
Did you ever meet Carl Faze?
Never met him. He comes in and just records those little minutes, doesn't he?
The Daily Nudge.
I mean, it's funny when you're driving along and you're getting the odds for the grand final, and you're going, I might put a cheeky tenner on Penrith to win.
Yeah.
And then Carl comes on and goes, "What are you doing with your life?"
Oh, my favourites when because he does a bit of sports focus because he knows it's going on the thing. And my favourites are like the story of he'll talk about some NFL player and he says, his early life was wine, women, and song. It all went well, and then he found there was no. That led him to a path of misery and didn't help his career. Luckily, at the age of 28, he found Jesus. And he turned his life around. Sadly, he met his maker at the age of 30, and all of them have the same thing. It's like the guy finds Jesus, dies within 3 years, and it's like, dude, I don't know if this is the greatest ad for Jesus.
I thought that sounds like professional athletes always need more.
Yeah,
They always need for more. But also I always thought he did a metaphor or a story, and then he goes, "That's a lot like me and my wife."
Yeah, he does.
We have a great relationship.
He does a lot of that. You remember
no one knows what we're talking about.
Remember what Ephesians says? It's like, oh fuck yeah, Ephesians, right? Back when people used to write letters, the apostles were out writing letters, just to whole races or groups of people. That was the thing too. Imagine you now, because it's a bold move. You just go oh fuck, I follow this bloke. Say there's a new religion. You're one of the you're the Peter or whatever. You're the chief apostle, right? For the new religion, and then someone's gone, and then you're just going, you know what? You know who needs to know about this?
Fuck
the Italians. I'm going to write to the Italians, dear Italy. Did you know about Jesus?
I'm sure people are writing to Palestinians.
Yeah,
and thinking they're some sort of prophet.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to know who you even address that to.
Schizophrenia is a hell of a drug. I met a guy once. I've been working in mental health for a while, and he believed he was Jesus, and he would write his own Bible.
Mate, I've got a crazy. One of my mum's friends worked in a mental health facility for a while, and one of her favourite stories was one day this guy's in there and he's sort of just in the group thing. He stands up and he goes, "I am the Son of God, the chosen one," and one of the other guys goes, "Who told you that?" And he goes, "God did." He goes, "I did not."
The thing I liked about this kid was everyone else, it was like a youth refuge, and everyone else would just hang around and be mopey and not want to do anything with their lives, and they were getting treated for very, very severe mental health stuff, but sometimes it was just very, very major depression. So they just couldn't leave the house because they were so depressed. But this guy who had severe schizophrenia, which is a hell of a thing to have, would get up at 4 a.m., go to work. He was working as an apprentice mechanic, was very polite, very lovely, but in the back of his mind was like, when I get to a certain age, I'm going to be the saviour of this world.
You know, that's good too. I like to know that the saviours are sticking with trades.
Yeah. That's
staying down the TAFE angle.
Jesus goes to TAFE.
Yeah.
But he did once, someone locked a key in a room and he went to open the door with his magical powers.
Yes.
And this is the only time someone sort of saw him try to do anything like that because he kept it pretty secretive. But he just went like that to the door, and when it didn't open, he was like, "Oh, maybe I'm not the Son of God."
Wow. I'd love to see too the mechanic Jesus walks on oil instead of water.
It just slips over.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel bad telling these stories, but it's such an interesting thing.
But you gotta, I don't know, I think.
But also, with the right treatment and the right support, this kid's probably doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he had outside of that, had his shit together.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Compared to others, yeah, for sure, man. I feel like we've talked so much stuff that no one's going to know anything about. But yeah, I worked at 2CH 1170 before it was bought out by SEN. I listen to you guys a lot on the radio, and I'm always so impressed by the amount of knowledge you have about sport. And it's not just rugby league, which is the focus of the station. You're across your tennis. You're across, it sounds like your field hockey as well.
Mate, yeah, I grew up I've played hockey. Real hockey, not fucking ice dancing bullshit. Yeah, come at me, hockey fans.
Well, are you allowed to throw gloves in field hockey?
No, you just, no one even puts their stick down.
Just
go.
Shin,
yeah. It's all just, yeah. There's plenty of ways to be a bit niggly.
Well, I'm not sure when this will go to air, but we can pretty much predict that Melbourne Storm and Penrith Panthers are in the grand final.
Yeah, it's hard to see. I think the Roosters, if anyone's going to upset anyone, I think the Roosters over the Storm, I could see a scenario where that happens. I don't think...
Sharks can't.
No, well, the Sharks,
Penrith.
They've had injuries.
I'm surprised we beat Townsville, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I think with that game, that might have been the Sharks grand final. I think that was their thing where they were like, you know what, they needed a win to get that finals hoodoo.
They needed
Fitzgibbon.
They needed a bit of finals experience. These new boys haven't played any really. So Sharks used to get in the top 8 every year, and then the last since we've had Nico, I don't think Nico's really played much finals.
Nico, I think, is a really he's an amazing player, but I think one of the skills that probably Nico needs to maybe learn, like it's more of a psychological thing, is so you remember Jimmy Maloney?
Yeah, yeah.
So Jimmy Maloney,
didn't he just get into some
yeah,
controversy? Okay.
yeah,
Did he get
not a great driver.
Yeah, a lot of drink driving. These guys have cash. Get an Uber, buddy. What's wrong with them?
Dear mate, you're in North Queensland.
True,
Who knows? Who knows where the Ubers are? But so Jimmy Maloney, one of his great skills on the field, and the guys that played with him all say this, is like he had the memory like a goldfish. Like he could be, and I think there was an Origin where he did it, where he's playing, and he basically threw an intercept pass, and then like 6 minutes later, same plays on, throws the same pass, but like New South Wales scored, like because the pass connects. He had that ability to just be like, okay, that put that behind you. There was nothing to see him throw the intercept pass, then be abusing the blokes in the in goal about we need to pick up our game here. Like when he's just because he just didn't. And so I think sometimes Nico, he worries too much about letting everyone down. Like I think he really feels that. And I think out of Origin, he felt like I heard him interviewed and he's like, I feel like I've let my state down. It's like, man, one, you didn't. Well, but two,
it's very hard to let New South Wales down. We've had a lot of teams.
Yeah, mate. Oh, I got a list of guys that you can talk to about that. But he that just being able to just put all that behind you and go, okay, what's next? That really good players, like at elite level, like clutch players, they don't think about the last thing. They think about what's happening next, and they still they fuck up. They still want the ball. So I think Nico just, if he can get over that confidence thing where he sometimes like I feel like he worries too much or he takes it too much to heart, or he's letting people down. It's like, nah, man, you're not letting anyone down. Just fucking go. You're a gun. Yeah. Just get some of that inner arrogance.
I'll tell you what, the Cronulla Sharks would not have won that grand final without Maloney.
Nah.
What a player.
Mate.
And I think it's not a goldfish memory thing. It's a risk-taking thing that he backs himself. He goes, oh, that didn't work, and I just gave away a try. I'll give it another crack.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But that's how the blokes decided. Like they said, it was like he couldn't remember any time he fucked up. Like it was
he just didn't stick to him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and that I think that's a bit of a superpower if you can live like that. Hopefully not with the way he drives.
Yeah, but that's why he's forgetting.
It's like that magistrate's going to be like, man, this is your lesson.
Yeah,
Don't forget that you can't drink and drive. Like you gotta, it's one or the other, mate.
I feel like comics kind of have that mentality of, all right, I just bombed. Let's go to another gig and try it again.
Yeah, I think
I'll work it out.
Mate, but that's, I think I don't think, well, not everyone does, but if you're going to do it long term and you're going to try and make a go of it, you kind of have to. Like you can't wear every gig on your sleeve.
And when you're coming up, for your first few years, I reckon at least your first 2 or 3 years, you're bombing pretty consistently. So you just get that thick skin and you get through it. There was a guy, Alan Fang, who deliberately bombed for a year just to build up that tolerance.
I love these guys that deliberately bomb. Did he deliberately bomb?
Or does he just suck dick?
Or is he just trying to find it, But the other thing is, some people, I don't know if they deliberately bomb, but they take big swings.
Yes. I think that's what he was kind of doing.
Yeah.
Or getting up with like not much material and seeing what happens.
Just trying to challenge yourself. But sometimes that too, like...
That's how you can flex and develop new skills.
Yeah, but I am sometimes a bit, I don't know, I'm a bit wary of that sometimes, where like some people I've seen, like, I'm not saying this is what Alan did, but some people use that as a bit of a crutch to be like, if I get caught trying and it doesn't work, that's more hurtful. Whereas if you're like, I'm just not trying hard, I'm not trying to do this, but then, that's why it's not working, but I could if I tried.
But this is the thing, I will not spend too much time writing a joke because I'm like, I don't have much faith in it yet. But if I get up and try it and it works a little bit, then I'll put a bit more effort into it.
Yeah.
And then I'll
bit of confidence.
But then we were just talking about a bloke, Kyle Legacy, who started out just as a probably, somewhat traditional comedian, and someone had a word to him to sort of say the same thing. Stop doing material and improvise. And he kind of worked that out. But in the same way, is improvised comedy judged differently? Because you're like, well, he didn't really write anything. He's just having a crack.
Mate, to be honest, I don't think the audience have a fucking clue. They don't know. And this is the thing. We get all tied up in it. Audiences don't give a shit.
Do you think the audience doesn't know Ross Noble's just making it up? Well, Ross Noble has gear, and he has a formula. So
Yeah,
an
no.
arc and a narrative.
Mate, to anyone who's playing theatres and doing what, like, I shouldn't really, speculate or say definitively any which way how Ross does, but I would suspect that Ross has a structure in his head, like so the way I always talk about it, like if you're doing crowd work or whatever, is if you know all your material well enough and you've got stuff, places you can go, and it's sitting back there, you can be more spontaneous in the moment because you can follow the mood in the room from, okay, this might well plug this in, and you can get away from your material, but know how to quickly get back to it when whatever you're doing doesn't work or starts to, okay, we're getting into a cul-de-sac here, let's go down this path that I know works.
I watched Ross a lot growing up, and I think he always, in the back of his mind, knew where he was heading and always had a closer up his sleeve. Always had a big closer. And that was the fashion, and it still is the fashion to end strong. So he always had a joke ready.
I think, and that's just that confidence over time of knowing something will come, having all those thoughts there. Like, you realistically, you watch people do, like, good crowd work or do that sort of stuff like Ross does. It's nothing's like it's all stuff he's thought about, and you see them guide the conversation to a degree. Like, whether it's not all 100% written, but it's feeding off the audience and going. He's not going to go anywhere where he has no idea where, absolutely nothing in his back pocket. There's, we'll follow this down there because I've got an interesting thought on that, and we'll see if we can turn that into something. And I think we sometimes underestimate the amount of work that's gone into looking that spontaneous.
And it's a muscle memory thing. I think when Kyle Legacy gets up, and I've seen Kyle Legacy get up and say, I don't want to do this. And then as soon as he's on stage, he's in his zone. And he just knows how to do that sort of style.
And it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, he's got stuff he knows that he can go to, areas he knows he can work, and it's not the same as like someone who writes out a set list and goes, I'm going from this to this to this. But there is work that's gone into it behind the scenes.
Speaking of Ross Noble, I always thought was really big in Australia, and then I'd be watching the telly and he's on like QI. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's like big over there. And like similar to your mate, Jim Mowing. Jim Mowing was always an institution here in Australia. But you reckon he still goes hard overseas, and especially in the UK? That's great.
He's been doing, you could have a look at his Instagram. He's been doing a heap of big theatres over in the...
Do you ever do a UK tour with him?
No.
He's got a different opener over there?
Well, it's funny. He doesn't actually... he didn't have an opener for years and years and years, and I think it was talking to him at a certain point, when you're on tour as much as he's on tour, you need it can be quite lonely. Like it is a weird feeling when you walk on stage and that's the first conversation you've had with people for the day. It's a weird way to live your life. Like I remember years ago I was on a cruise ship, and it was one of the ones where you do the theatre. Like, I was the only comic on it. They had me in a guest room. I had no other. There was nowhere near any of the other entertainers, so I didn't know anyone on the ship. And so you're just wandering around, and literally the first conversation I had, the first real conversation I had that day was when I walked on stage to 900 people, and it's a weird feeling. You feel it's super isolating. It can be feeling. Like it's you feel a bit detached from everything. So working ways to get around that, I think, when you've done that for years and years and years. So I think part of the reason he got me as an opener and started getting some openers was partly for the company. Because let's be honest, he doesn't need it for the time. Like he'd do 90-minute shows easily on his own for years, but. It's sometimes it's more fun to have someone to bounce, and especially when you're working new stuff in. Like he was doing a bit, like he'd try and shift a bit of new stuff into each of the shows when we were working there, bouncing stuff off someone backstage, and just that bit of energy backstage helps too.
But also that energy on stage, having an opener warms the audience up so much. It's nicer to walk out to a warm room rather than you starting cold.
Yeah, I think you and I, it's a different level of warmth. to you and I turning up to a comedy night and walking out to an audience and don't know what they're getting to than a bunch of people who've bought tickets for Jim Owen. That's it was interesting. I had one of the gigs where I'd gone on, done really well, and the sound guy had a mate there. He goes, "Oh, you going?" I said, "No, there's a break now." And I jokingly said, "Oh, mate, he doesn't want to follow that." And the sound guy goes to me, "Yeah, well, it probably would be hard." And I'm like, "Mate, he doesn't have any worries following me. His problem is he's got to follow 30 years of Jim Owen." That is the challenge at that level. Is these are people that have seen you for this amount of time and they love you, and you're following yourself.
Yeah.
And you got to keep bringing it every, and
expectation.
that's so impressive to watch a guy be able to do that year after year. That's the fucking skill.
Even at the Comedy Store, they'll sometimes get some big names dropping in, and these big names may not have sort of kept up to their stand-uppy stuff because they're doing TV and other things. So they'll come in and drop in at the Comedy Store, and the crowd goes wild because it's a big name, but they're not the hottest act anymore.
Yeah, you get a bump,
but they're still hard to follow because everyone's like starstruck, and then some open micer comes out and you're just like trying to follow. I won't say any names, but
mate,
a TV personality.
The very first time I headlined at the Mic in Hand, when that was a going concern, it was just before Mardi Gras, and so I was my very first. I was a bit nervous about so usually the thing was there'd be 2 or 3 break, 2 or 3 break, headliner. So 3 brackets. And so I get there and the guy that was running goes, "Oh, we're doing something different." Liam goes, "We're doing something different tonight because we got a couple of drop-ins." So there was one act, Seren, I think, did 5 minutes, Seren Jamana. And then Scott, what's his bloody name?
Dooley?
No, he's a San Francisco-based comedian. He was in Mrs. Doubtfire. Scott, he's a bit of a icon in the gay scene, but he was out for the Mardi Gras doing shows, and he's fucking. This is a guy who's 30 years in the game, like just.
Well, he's in Mrs. Doubtfire. That came out 20 years ago.
Yeah, because he was good mates with Robin Williams. He was like,
speaking of good improvisers,
Scott. Sorry, I'll check the notes. I'll tell him later, and we'll put it in the show notes. But
I'm not putting it in.
Yeah, so there was him, and then a break, and then someone doing 5 minutes, and then Will Anderson doing 20 minutes, and then a break, and then this guy.
How long were you doing? 30?
Yeah, that used to be a 30 to 35.
Yeah. Well, if Will's doing 20, like
that's so both of those guys did 20, and it was like you're just going on stage, going, well, what everyone's talking about tomorrow's already happened. Like you've just seen 2.
This is when you become the plane crash. If you want to be memorable, tank.
Yeah, well, no, it was actually funny because what I did was I just went on and went, okay, well, what are we going to do? Like, you can
ride coattails though.
Yeah, but what I did was I went on and I'd picked a few things that Will had said, and I had jokes basically off the back of him saying, "Oh, this kid, Will Anderson, he's got a big future, but he's got a few things wrong." And which he like that's the kind of thing he finds funny. So I made a couple of jokes off the back of the stuff he'd talked about, just so like that kid's but just so I think that kid's got a future, guys. Well, anyway, professionals are here now. Let's go.
Yeah. And we've given the novelty acts a crack. Let's let the pros have a go. The first time I met Will, when I was a kid, I used to sneak into red carpets. So I would say I was from like a community television network. I would take film equipment from like the AV club, and we would go into these red carpets. And Will was at like the MTV Music Awards, and he was walking down the red carpet, and no one was really talking to him. And he probably wasn't as big of a star as he is now. He probably had just finished up on the Glass House and was doing a bit more stand-up and probably not sure about his radio or TV career. We pulled him over and said, "Oh, Will," and he did this gag. He goes, "Oh, yeah, it's a bit awkward me being here. A lot of people are calling me Adam Hill, so I've just been putting on a limp." And I thought it was so funny, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Will's given us like his top gear to this crappy little, we look like kids. But then I heard him do that joke like 20 more times. He does that at the Logies every year. That's classic.
Hey, mate.
Classic comedian just recycling the
if
best
it's working,
stuff.
keep it.
But Will's a huge star. Well, I remember watching The Glass House, and he looked like a kid, and he was on Triple J and all that stuff. And he must be close to 40 or 50, and he's still killing it and on 20 TV shows a night and doing stand-up.
Yeah, he's well the other side of 40. He did, maybe close to 50. I remember him. So he was on him and Adam Spencer were on like Triple J Breakfast when I was like late high school, and that was he'd have to be close to between somewhere like late 40s, maybe 50.
I couldn't think of a worse co-host than Adam Spencer, only because he's such a bright person.
Yeah,
and trying to compete with that. But I guess if you're just the funny guy, that's okay.
But the other thing is, I mean, if you're doing, you don't want to compete. Like you know what I mean. Yeah. You just fall in and you do give him his space, you do your space, and then I mean, that's half the battle when you're doing like that sort of stuff with someone is you realize, okay, no, you don't want to compete. You want to complement. Like, so if someone's filling one space, you fill the other space too.
I think there's a skill in being not only the straight man or being the second banana, but there is, even look at Kyle and Jackie O. Kyle's the star. Jackie's the anchor. And they've got a great partnership there. And there's a lot of co-hosts like that. You and the professor have a similar thing. And I think you've been working with him for years.
Yeah.
And you've probably sat down and had a chat and worked it out and gone, okay, this is how I'm going to sort of sit back, or I'm going to come in with jokes here and all that sort of stuff. And it's probably different when you're doing telly. That seems a lot more scripted than when you've got 3 hours of talkback radio to film. Oh,
yeah, massively. Telly's like a lot of preparation for it's all about writing and then trimming down. Everything's like, you've got everything's timed to the second, whereas and it's very much about a lot of preparation for a small amount of time, and you need to get through it, get it done. Whereas, and that was the biggest thing when we started doing the SEN. The difference was, no, just keep the ball in the air, boys. Just keep going, which is a lot of fun and a lot of like you can't, like if you tried to prepare for that the way you prepare for TV, it'd take you 6 weeks to prepare a 3-hour radio show, and then when you're doing the daily, we did a summer drive, so you like what was amazing about that is like you do the whole show and then boom, and then straight away you finish. Well, we've got 3 hours to fill tomorrow now. Like, what's happening? So,
well, Jay Leno used to always say he loved doing the Tonight Show because you would prep all day, and then it was kind of like, all right, pens down, exam over, you got to go record, and that was TV. Once the camera's on, that's all you've got time for,
mate. It's all of it. Like, remember looking back to now, like when you're doing like regular shows, like we do the Friday show, and then we'd be on Maddie on the Sunday. Like, it is literally you'd finish the Friday show to go well, we'd have a beer, and then you're like, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Right. There's no like it was funny. It was a really good time. It was an intense workload, but it was only once we'd finished that you realise, you look back and you look at the volume of jokes you put out, and the amount of work you did, and there's still stuff people go like. Occasionally, people say, I love this bit you did. You remember when and I'd just completely forgotten about it because it's literally you don't have time to put your head up and appreciate what's going on. You're just in the grind, and which is a lot of fun, and it's kind of double-edged sword in that you want to make sure everything's real good, but then also if it fucks up, then you know what, the next problem's like right now. Like we've got next week's show, so. You don't get to ride your victories too hard, but you also don't get to wallow in your fuck ups. So
yeah. I mean, you've been in telly and radio for a long time. What do you think of Grant Denyer?
Grant, mate, he's Australia's little battler. He's
he really is. He's had a tough go of it,
mate. He's just a pocket-sized dynamo that's out there. This is what I love. These TV, like he's one of those TV institutions that I hope we still have. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I have a feeling broadcast TV is slowly. I wouldn't say dying, but it's certainly changing. And these are the sort of. The game shows and stuff that we grew up with. Like, I don't know that my kids will.
We watch this without the sound on, but if you watch one of these sound, Grant has never said anything of substance in his life. Like he's just there padding for a half hour.
And that is an amazing skill. That is like to be. You gotta be. and it's an underappreciated skill that some of these guys have, is it's that he's being inoffensive, pleasant, mildly entertaining without actually putting down a marker about. So you can't, the ability to be generally pleasant and entertaining without making anyone go, oh, mate, this guy.
But also without
like.
really much of yourself in it. There's no personality, really. Well, no, like real personal, like heart or psyche. But then also so generic, and also no opinions. Everyone's got these crazy ideas and thoughts and opinions. He's going out there with a few little jokes, a bit of flirtiness or whatever, and he's entertaining the masses. It's good stuff. Are you keen to get into an episode?
Let's do it.
Before we do, we'll just cross to Joel Kane for an update on the markets.
Beautiful.
What are we looking at? I think Penrith are paying probably $1.30.
Yeah, maybe $1.30. Mate, I'd love to know what the price for anything other than a Penrith Melbourne grand final.
Well, that's it. If you even put the Roosters to get to a grand final, that would probably pay $5. Not even to win, just to get there.
Oh, 100%.
And they only have to win one game to do that. All right, here we go.
See, look at that audience. You know that just before this, there's been a Steve Philp.
Was Philpsy there? Just
Philpy out there. I don't think he does deal in it. I'm not sure where
I don't
they
know where they
this.
film. I think it must be Redfern. I got to go. I got to get into the audience somehow.
You'd have to think so. See, this is a sizable audience too. And what people don't realise is I'd imagine they're gang taping these.
Yeah, 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
So this audience might be there. Oh my God, she's just whacked herself in the face.
She's so keen. I find this woman, by the way, this is Emma Luncham. And I don't know if it's her vibe, if it's her outfit, if it's her energy, but I find her very attractive.
Yeah. Mate, she's bubbly. I like it. She's got the...
Also, she's got to be like 4 foot. She's a little pocket rocket herself. Look at her next to Grant.
Yeah.
He's towering over her.
Mate,
his hair's probably given him an extra inch, though.
Yeah, look, and doesn't it look good?
Yeah, he's put a bit of a rinse through that hair.
He's gone full high eyebrows here. I hope he's not on the tox.
He's also wearing a lovely little suit today. I like the brown tie, and that is not a little gross joke. But he's also wearing a more subtle three-piece. Normally he wears these really outrageous three-piece suits, but today a nice navy number with a very subtle vest, and I'm liking this look.
You know what? The vest too, we don't talk about this enough in society. The vest under the suit is a small-chested man's go.
Yes.
Because if you got a bit of a barrel chest, I look back at, because we obviously when I got married, we all, you get talked into the three-piece suit, because the way that Taylor said it is once you're at the reception, everyone takes their jacket off.
And you want to cool down.
You don't look any different to all the guests. And so that is, I'm like, okay. But I look back now and go, geez, because I'm a barrel-chested sort of a unit, and the vests do you no favour.
Yeah, right. I'm wearing, the classic Emmy suit, like the white jacket with the black pants.
Yep.
I'm wearing that to the wedding. I've always wanted to host the Logies or the Emmys, and I'm like, well, my wedding is probably the closest things. I might get to do a 15-minute monologue at the end or something.
What are you going to complement that with the shoes? Are you going to have the black shoes with the white paneling, like a bit of that sort of stuff?
That's a bit out there, yeah.
I like that.
Do you know Jeremy Allen White from The Bear?
No. Oh, I haven't watched The Bear.
He was in Shameless as well. He's a big superstar actor now. He wears really lovely suits to the Emmys, and I'm just going to take that to a tailor and go, make me look like this.
Nice. This is good. It's nice that people are finally talking about what men are doing on the red carpet. Okay, first thing, she's knocked out the $50. That's a good start.
You said it like it was a bad thing. Oh, there goes the 50. That would have been handy.
That's good. It was the most we can keep on the left-hand side here.
Exactly.
$50. He's pretty happy he's given her that too. $50, man.
Yeah, they should do that. If you give a low number, it's like, oh, thanks, champ.
What I'd noticed here too, that's a bit of a change, is we open number 7. Boom, that's the 100. Far out.
She's keeping it nice and tidy on that left
Look
side.
at that. Is that her fella?
That's her husband. And now, by the way, they're playing for a bit of landscaping. So they've done some renovations to their place. Emma and her husband have been renovating for a long time, and they forgot to do the landscaping. So
he's able-bodied. How much does a fucking shovel cost, mate?
Go to Bunnings, sweetheart. You'll be right. Yeah, so I don't know what a landscaping job would cost, but surely you
depends on your block, mate. Depends on your block. My place, my place was actually featured on a TV show one time.
Burks?
No, the
Better
what's it called?
Homes?
International House Hunters. right? See,
Is
I
that
don't
a
know if
Foxtel show?
No. It's on Nine Life, mate.
Okay.
Mate, Nine Life. For anyone who tours, whenever you spend time in motels, free to air, Nine Life is the.
I like
the go-to.
7 Bravo. That's my channel because I love the show Botched. Oh,
Botched,
that's a
yeah.
great
See,
show.
no, I'm not.
If you're a hotel guy, if you're on the road, that's the show to watch.
Mate, I'm all Nine Life for Lakefront Bargain Hunt. Oh, 1,000. Okay,
tell you what,
we're on the right hand side, but she's gone the
The
lowest
deal's
amount.
not a bad show when you're on the road.
Yeah.
It's just mindless. You don't need to think.
Mate, have you watched Lakefront Bargain Hunt?
No.
It's basically
I've never
these
heard
people.
of Nine Life.
Basically, these people in the States who are looking for a lake house. 750 goes, mate. She is nailing that
Is
left
that sort of
side.
the show where they're like, she's a casual teacher and he's unemployed. Their budget is 4.8 million.
Yep, no. So it is similar to that, right? So the one my house was on was International House Hunters, where it's basically they're moving from the States to a somewhere for one of their works. They want to broaden their horizons or something, but they want everything exactly the same as at home. This couple were moving to Australia, and he was working at the army base. And so one of the places they looked at was my place. And the reason they didn't buy it is because they had kids, and there was a cliff in the backyard. And I looked at that and went, "Fuck, I got kids.
Yeah.
Just tell them not to fall off the cliff."
A cliff's a fun place for a kid to play.
Only once has one of them fallen off it. So, and he's fine.
Yeah.
All
I mean, he had to repeat a few times, but he's gone all right.
Oh,
There goes the big
no.
dog. $100,000 out of play. That's going to really fuck up.
I wouldn't have
first
trusted
week
that
offer.
guy. So that guy that opened that case he's rocking like almost like the evil version of him beard. He had the little flavor saver under his chin. He's
the soul patch.
yeah, like mate, he would have been 50 if he's a day.
First bank offer $3,280.
Fuck that, no deal.
The audience is unanimously saying no deal. The husband hasn't
He's
really changed his facial
I
expression.
could get a
at all.
good shovel for that.
Get
Get a trailer of like aggregate, if you need to fill anything in.
Get 3,000 shovels and get all your mates to come around and help dig a hole.
What's a roll of turf going to cost? Like that's the thing too. What's he looking at? Buffalo? How big's this
That's going
yard?
to set you back.
Well, you see, your buffalo, you might be able to get it at a reasonable price per roll, but if you've got a big, like, I'd love to know. See, this is one of the things with these shows that they don't give you enough detail. Like,
No.
okay, landscaping could be anything, couldn't it? Like, if they own a fucking 4-acre property, landscaping's going to be an issue. He's going to need a backhoe. Is there drainage issues? All this sort of stuff. Whereas if he's on a 1/4-acre block, reasonably flat, and they just want to lay down some grass, maybe a eucalyptus in the back corner, something they can roll a cricket pitch into for the kids when they're a bit older, then that's a different budget. I do like her, like you said, her outfit. She's got a bit of the Ken Doan going on.
Oh,
with
yeah. She's just wearing
shirt,
a big
bright colours.
Doona blanket that she got from the Ken Doan merch
There
shop.
are some bright colours in this audience.
I think
too,
there's a
isn't there?
Lowe's nearby, and they all go and grab a floral shirt because it makes them pop, and they think they're going to get on the telly.
This is those shows that people do, like they strategize. Okay, this lady's looking around. I love that the lady. 75
the
now.
second most highest amount you can go home with is out of play. My strategy, if I went on this show, and I never want to because I would find it so nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
I would go,
Luckily, you probably won't ever be forced to do it.
and I've said some probably hugely defamatory things about the show and the host, so I probably won't get an invite, but I would go ugliest person to the most attractive. Work my way across the board.
So you reckon they're giving the money out?
I would have
based
picked
on
her
looks?
pretty early, you know what I mean?
Well, she's going reasonably. Oh no, there's the 10 grand gone. Okay.
Well, you had to knock some big ones out because there was just nothing. So, it's a game of probability, and you got to balance that out. But I don't think her offer's going to go much more than $3,000 now.
It's a tall lady.
Do you remember on the old version? Fucking hell.
40,000 gone. What do we reckon?
This is going down to like $1,000 for
We
a
need
bank
to talk.
offer.
This is where I need sugar. Joel Kane.
By the way, have a Red Bull if you actually need not sugar cane, but sugar.
No. I need. Oh, look at the
I want
mustache
a
on this
third-
bloke. This bloke's come straight from work.
$5, that's good.
$5.
I want a third mic off camera who's just crunching numbers.
Yeah.
Because the bank doesn't really take into consideration the math. What they do is see if what they're
playing the man.
how they play, but also if they want them to keep going, if they want to egg them on, or if they want to try and bribe them a bit. dangle a bit of a carrot in front of them.
The bank's going poker style. Like don't play the cards, play the man.
I wish in the old version of the show you could win a car, and I think it was around the $20,000. There was a car up for grabs. It could be in your case. It could be up there. I reckon that banker should go, hey, we've got a landscaper. He'll come over and do it for this price.
Do you think too? I like that idea.
We got a holiday. You can take the holiday, or you can take, there's a sex worker and you get a night with her, or like there's a few other options that the bank offers.
I'd love just to see a couple do that.
Here's a case of Nutella, or a lifeline, a years long supply of McDonald's, or something like that. Just get some sponsors involved as well.
Yeah, well, mate, obviously you're thinking like a producer at this point, but I feel like that we need something like that because I don't know, like game shows used to offer more life-changing sort of amounts. Like this is great. I mean, that's a fucking
I used to give this show a bit of
guy.
shit to be like, oh, the top prize is $100,000. The thing is, this show's on 5 nights a week. They're losing cash every night.
No, they're not. This is, mate, this is all insured. But this is the thing. Look at that. I think I have that shirt. $5,000 gone. All right. Husband's starting to look a bit worried.
Yeah, I think this bank offer is going to be like just barely over $1,000. So let's see, bank offer. Second bank offer for the game. Oh, you got $2,000, so she's lost $1,000 from her first bank offer. She's saying no. She's got love.
He's like, mate, that's barely a Bunnings voucher. Oh yeah, she gave it a big no deal. Look at him. He got a fresh haircut for this show just quietly. She's made him go, we're going to go on, we're going to get on. You need a fresh haircut.
But what about if they go, all right, the bank's offered you $2,000, or you can have a night out with Grant and he's shouting dinner, and you get a bag, you go for gold.
I don't know. I don't know if you go for, because then you like. It
becomes a celebrity cruise.
Because look at Grant, he's not used to eating much, is he?
He just sleeps at the studio. He doesn't go. He doesn't leave.
They got a case.
He's recording this. Yeah.
Oh, get Grant out. Mate, did I tell you about the time I met Agro?
I was on Aggro.
Really?
Yeah,
as a kid? All right, fucking. All right, way to one up. Here we go. This lady, number 21.
Me and Jamie Dunn go way back, mate.
I love this. 21, right? She's been selected and she's given it. Oh, fuck, she's cracked down.
That's the first time the husband's made a smirk.
Yeah.
She's doing some gear. They're loving her.
Look at her. It's not an open mic, love. Just fucking open the fucking case.
Yeah, what is she doing? Reciting fucking Hamlet or something? Wrap it up. Just tell us what you got in your
If
case.
I was on this too, the people go and Grant always ask the person that's got the case, how much do you think you got? Oh, they got the 30,000. It's like, I would be like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you got. She's called it. High five, correct guess.
I would do that. Oh, is it me? Is it an act real dumb? Oh, yeah, I think you got this. And just like get as much screen time as I get. I guess that's what that lady was doing. Just
so how many cases have we got? What are we?
23 or 22?
23. Yeah. So, $25. Big fella. Well done. So this is the thing. Like for that, like correct guess. If you're guessing something 1 in 22, I want more than $250. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it. It's just reality TV, game shows, they just bring in the bar down.
500. All right. So we're starting to look a bit. I think the bank offer's going up.
It's very even. 50 cents, $1, $10, $75. Then on the big side, 7,500, 20 grand, 30 grand, and 50 grand. I think the bank offer will be somewhere around the 4 grand mark. 4.5.
4.7.
4.710. I'm starting to get the hang of this. I reckon I could get the job as the banker.
Just Grant looks a little tired, doesn't he?
Oh, this is his.
Do you reckon this is
show number 5?
Where do you reckon? Yeah, episode 5
I think it was
for the day.
The Friday show. Like, yeah, I went to watch Letterman once, and we watched him on a Thursday, and he had done 2 shows. It was the second show, so he takes Friday off, and he comes out, can't do anything topical. So I was like, oh, that New York weather. Yeah. All right, here's a guy. He's our guest.
Notoriously surly dude as well. Would you, if you're on this with your partner, would you just go their case first?
They used to leave the friend or the partner till last, so you got a better chance at correct guessing. But you'd also, if you lost heaps of money in the deal, you could beg the banker for a mega guess, 10 grand. And you got a 50-50 chance of winning 10 grand to make up for your shitty deal.
Yeah. Oh.
But to be honest, I've been doing this podcast for a little while now, and I haven't seen too many bad deals. People seem to bail out around the $4-5 mark if they haven't got much going on.
Around your landscaping budget.
That's right. They get, what's the franchise?
Number 19.
Jim's Mowing will come out for that price.
$30,000. That's fucked her.
She really looked disappointed. The 50's still in play. I think she won't feel it too much.
She needs to lose the 50 cents, and she needs to lose the dollar. Once we're starting to shorten that gap between lowest and highest.
Hot take though.
Grant's just taking a mobile phone call.
He's just talking to his dealer. There's not much difference between 50 cents and $75 in terms of bargaining power.
Yeah, well,
that's just your chances, yeah.
Yeah, mate. Okay, I'll give you a 50-cent Bunnings voucher, and
I'll
get a $75 Bunnings.
Imagine a $50,000 Bunnings voucher.
Can't even buy a fucking snag in bread for that. Imagine they should give it to him as a Bunnings voucher because you should be made to stick to what you said you're going to use it for. Yeah. Like if you've said I'm going to use it for landscaping,
and then you go on a holiday. No, you can't do that. You said you were getting landscaping.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't get cash. Just spend the money. Give us the receipts. We'll reimburse you. $50,000.
Catch you later. So her best chance now is taken.
Grant's devastated.
You would ride the roller coaster with him. Howie Mundell said, who hosts the American version, said the first time he hosted it, a lady comes out, she's like, I got 20 kids, we can't afford dinner, blah, blah, blah. She got offered like $5,000. She's like, no deal. And Howie's like, what the hell? You taking the money. So they had to change the style of the show because people were just gambling with their lives.
Yeah. Oh, bank offer.
No, that's fair. But also, 7,500, $20,000 still in play. She can hopefully win back from this. She's definitely not going to take it.
This is where you start to go, okay, if you're a cautious person, right, $1,100, who gives a shit? Like, now you're at the, let's roll the dice, let's go for that fucking $20,000. Yeah. No deal.
She's had a really bad go of this. Like, she lost some big stuff early on, and she's just gradually taken everything out of play that she could have used to sort of wager with the bank. Now she's got to recoup. I mean, it's silly, but like she'll play this till the end. Really, there's no other option. What's the highest offer? Say she's only gets through to blue from now on. Mm-hmm. The bank's going to offer her what, 2 tops? Like they're not going to offer her $5,000 again.
No, mad if they do.
This is going to actually quite be interesting. She's still got 4 little ones in play, only 2 big ones. But like $7,500 was kind of where she was at earlier on. Like she could have opted out.
Grant's given her the pump up. Husband doesn't look happy. Crowd her into it. Yeah. 2 cases to open.
They're jacked up on curly whirlies and Kinder surprises and.
Oh, she's just fucking dismissed something here.
She's got a nose ring. This chick's alternative. Yeah. All right,
75 is gone. All right.
I think there's a bank offer here as well. Let's see. Oh no, one more case to open.
One case. Let's go. Go 50 cents. Go 50 cents. I'll. Do you reckon? I would love to see them just do like. Oh, what's this chick? Oh, $20,000 is gone. And she had something funny on her shirt. Put the front down so we can see your funny T-shirt, lady.
I think it said GILF. She's an older lady.
Yeah.
Mention. The audience don't know.
It said check your something. And I just want to know what it is. What am I supposed to check?
They got to broadcast this a bank offer of $750.
Oh, look at that. That chick's way too invested in the audience.
What a just quietly. In the face.
Or are they too invested, or is Ben Lomas doing a good job? Ben Lomas is the Melbourne Steve Philp. Very, very, very good.
Do you think Philpsy would come on this show and talk about sort of the shows he's done warm-up on?
Yeah, if I
Has he done a game show? Actually, he's done a lot of Osher game shows.
He's done everything. He did Ready, Steady, Cook.
I went to the audience. I got to eat. It was the first time I ever had steak tartare.
Really?
It was on Ready, Steady. No one was touching it, so I had to
First time.
I'm a big
was there
fan.
a second time?
Oh, I love it. I'm a bit of a foodie now. That's why I was in the audience for Ready Steady Cook as a 15-year-old because I loved.
Give me some capsicum.
I was going to be a chef. That was my.
Oh.
And I got into television production thinking I'll learn that and then I'll become a TV chef. And
nice.
That never really took off. I worked on a cooking show once and that was a lot of fun.
I once applied on behalf of my cousin to go on Great Australian Bake Off. But it was a bullshit. I wrote this application to make him sound crazy. I called him Steve Cakes Casey.
Is his name Steve Casey?
Yeah. And then, and I don't mind saying that, 50 cents
The
is
monkey's
out.
out. We're back. So she's
Here
got
we
a
go.
1 in 3 chance of potentially winning 7,500. That's not a bad day at the office if she can walk home with a bit of cash here.
This is where the husband's starting to think, if she fucks this up, I'm going to blame her.
I think 7.5 is going to cover some landscaping for sure. See,
1,800.
that's not like not a great offer.
He's like, no deal. He's just going, no deal.
I think they should have offered a bit more for that. A 1 in 3 chance.
What do you mean one more? One more? If you go one more, you might as well go two more.
Well, one more is going to get her to maybe $3 grand, $3.5 grand.
Mate, he's puckered.
This is exciting. I'm actually keen to see how this plays out. I'm kind of rooting for her, but I'm not rooting for him.
So for do the people watching or listening to this know what we've got on the board? Because we've got $1, $10, 7.5.
Yeah. We actually will have graphics.
Oh, you beauty.
If you're
I should
watching
have
the video. No.
Here we go. Grant looks worried.
He's crying.
Grant's giving in the big blinks.
Oh, here we
fucking
go.
this weirdo.
This is
I wouldn't have talked to him either.
This is me in 10 years.
Holy shit. He's got like long hair, but
I'm getting
$1.
I'm going to get a picture of him for the edit.
I'm gonna-
The audience has to see that.
I got to reckon that's the most money he's held in a while. $1.
So here we go, a 50-50 chance of winning 7,500.
So the bank offer has to be
3.5. All $3 grand on the dot.
The bank's being a prick.
The bank does like normally. If they wanted to be silly, they would do like 2,999. So they've done 3 on the dot for a reason.
Does the bank know?
No. It'd be super, super illegal because it is like gambling. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess aristocrats know.
Yeah, I don't know. Aristocrat, I have to know.
They know everything.
Here we go.
They know what I had for lunch. They know what's in my email. All right. I think she's going to take this.
So what number's the husband got?
15.
Do we know?
Yeah,
He's got 15. She's got 16.
Does that make a difference to you?
It might.
By the way, she was case 16. It's always been her lucky number, and the husband was number 15 just randomly.
Really? Okay.
So I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Grant's going to lay out he's laying out all the options here.
There's either $10 or 7,500. The husband still has a chance to win $250, and she's gone. No deal. I was not expecting that. That's huge.
That guy that just clapped in the audience is going to be devastated when he watches this episode because he turned his head and there's definitely a Devon patch that he doesn't know about. The camera's just picked it up.
There's been a few famous people that have started to go bald, and I just go, why don't you just shave it off? And both of them have done it.
Oh, who's that?
They're big names. And it's
Go
not,
on.
I'm just gossiping to my partner going, these guys should shave their head. But one's Fred Armisen.
Okay.
And one's Ben Lee.
Oh, Ben Lee's bald, is he?
They were both kind of balding in weird ways, and they both just shaved, and they look so much better. Get ahead of the headline.
Grant, he's got his hands on Grant's building the tension here.
Grant might have
You know what I'm
bugs,
thinking
eh?
too? Grant, poor bastard. This is his 5th show.
Yeah,
he's had to
he's
change.
tired.
He's had to change into 5 different
Or
suits
do they just
today.
put a different tie on?
No, it's different suits. I don't know how much time you spent with wardrobe people for TV, but they love dressing you up. Here we go.
Remember
Why's
when-
Grant doing it? Let her do it, Grant. It's not all about you.
Oh, what a fucking ride. And the fucking husband doesn't even get a correct guess, you dumb cunt. You got to fucking wager there. You got to go, I'm going to say you've got the big one. In case you don't, then I get $250.
Yeah.
They played that really dumb towards the end.
Idiots.
I would have taken...
No wonder they fucked up their budget for their Renault.
Yeah, let's go over and just fucking fill their lawn with cement. Yeah. Fucking idiots. All right.
Where do
we changed our tune real quickly.
Mate.
All right, well, that was the deal.
It's hard to watch people fuck
So
it up,
what did she go home with? $10?
$10.
Oh, my goodness. What a loser.
Mate, that wouldn't cover like what they spent on Opal their Opal
Uber
cards
to the
to
thing.
get there.
So what we normally do at the end of the show is we just read some jokes. Normally I write a few.
Okay.
And it's just because if someone makes a $10 deal, we end the show on a low.
Yeah.
We want to bring it back up. I forgot to write jokes because I was doing washing.
Hey, look, that's all. We all need to wash.
I bought these, in art galleries, they have like great merch stores or gift shops. I always love the art gallery. So I bought these cheesy jokes. Some of them are about cheese. So some of the jokes are about cheese. Some are just cheesy jokes.
Fromage.
So here's a joke for you.
Yep.
What do you call a happy cowboy?
What do I call a happy cowboy? I don't know. Bucky?
A jolly rancher.
A Jolly Rancher.
You want another one?
Very good. It's a bit American, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't buy a Jolly Rancher here.
What happens to the clouds when they become rich?
What happens to the clouds when they become rich? All right, so let's work this out.
Oh, you want to logically work
Let's see
through
if
this
we can
joke?
logically work it out. So the clouds become rich, right? So they're getting money. So what do people say? They can make it rain. I doubt it's a stripper joke.
It kind of is.
Is it?
You got it. They make it rain.
They make it rain.
How's that?
Fuck yeah.
Have you ever seen Jimmy Carr sit down?
I would have say what happens to the clouds when they go to the strippers?
Club,
yeah,
that's good. Punch it up for him. Yeah.
yeah.
Have you seen Jimmy Carr sit down and someone just gives him setups for jokes and he knows the joke for everything?
No,
'cause he just can work it out. He goes, "I've heard everything. I just will know the punchline."
It feels joyless. I like comedy. It can be funny.
The thing about comedy is you want to be surprised. You want to misdirect.
Yeah.
So if you can predict it, it's not.
Yeah,
that
if you
fun.
get to the point where you know every joke,
Yeah.
oh fuck, that must be I
What
don't know.
what do you get if you divide the circumference of a jack-o'-lantern by its diameter?
Pumpkin pie. Oh, son of a maths teacher.
Give this guy the $7,500. All right, I'll tell you a joke that my geography teacher told me once, and I yelled out something inappropriate. She goes, why did the Mexican push his wife off a cliff? And I yelled out because he was sick of the old taco. She did not like that. I was in year 8.
But you yelled out something inappropriate. I think the setup's not entirely appropriate for a school.
The joke, the punchline is because he wanted tequila.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Would you have got that
And that
one?
bitch wouldn't let him have tequila.
We did eventually make that teacher cry.
Oh, wow.
And I went to
What subject?
A geography substitute. But here's the thing.
Geography teachers shouldn't be making like jokes based on countries where people
we
are
had
from.
a strict rules, no jokes, no voices, no accents.
No accents.
No accents in geography. I was going in there doing, my ethnic comedy characters and stuff.
Mate, geography dress-up days used to be so much more fun in the 90s, didn't they?
We made that teacher cry, and I sort of said, hey,
Why?
you're working, just because we're bad kids. I said, you're working at a Christian school with like 50 kids in a year. You got a class of like 20 kids. This is as good as it's going to get for you. Go to a fucking public school. Go up the road to Menai High. Have a run at them and see how you go.
Oh, mate, Menai High. Mate, with my high school, I went to public schools. My first high school, our uniform was grey Stussy pants. Remember those elastic waisted pants with a grey polo shirt? Same colour, grey.
Yeah, I went to
They must have looked at us and gone, you know what, a lot of these guys are going to be wearing matching same colour top and bottoms.
Green.
Yeah. They couldn't make it green. Like, two on the nose if you make it just prison green. But, yeah.
I had a grey school uniform for primary school, and it kind of felt like The Simpsons where they put them in uniforms to take away any kind of expression of creativity. They wanted us to conform early on and just be cucks to this fucking world.
Mate, ours was I got to be honest, I couldn't have liked it more. It couldn't have been a more comfortable uniform. It's just wearing elastic waisted pants with a draw cord.
We could wear trackies in primary school and it was just so comfy, the best. I mean, you're not doing a lot, are you? You're just sitting down and reading and writing and going and kicking a ball. So why not do it in comfort?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Do you like wearing, because you got a bit of you do the jean t-shirt look for your stand-up persona.
Yeah.
Did you wish you kind of go, I'm going to be a slob and just wear trackies and a hoodie to every gig?
Nah, I don't, mate. I don't. So I'll wear a button up over.
I was
a
about
t-shirt,
to ask,
mate.
when you're doing a cruise, do you wear a blazer?
Mate, I haven't done a cruise in a long time. But I'm trying to think if I did. I'll do stand up in a suit if I have to for a corporate.
When I used to MC, I'd put on a blazer just to make myself look a little bit more official.
I did a gig I did like full suit the other day in a gig I did in New Guinea for a function there.
I just feel weird wearing a really nice fitted Italian suit and then getting up being like, yeah, so my girlfriend's cunt so fucking loose. And
mate, well the thing is, the mistake you make is you've made there is buying a nice suit.
What you think, mate, I should have just
Connor? There's a place called Connor. They're like, you can get a suit for $150. Well, it is what it is. I mean, that's what I did actually. I wore a suit. I did comedy in the Great Hall of Parliament House recently.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. and had to wear a suit. And it does feel weird to be standing in Parliament House with a microphone, essentially making a speech.
Yeah.
And
TED
telling dick jokes.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I think politicians are funny.
Yeah.
And they're smart. They're switched on. Like, look at Trump. He's a very entertaining young person. God. But then Australian politics as well. Have you ever watched Question Times? They're roasting each other.
I love it. I love it.
So
the lamest roasts ever.
I think doing a gig at Parliament House is probably going to be more fun than doing a spot on the footy show because these guys are switched on. They're getting it.
Mate, well, it wasn't for Parliament House. It was for footballers. So
I just fucking threw footy players under the bus.
Yeah.
No, it was for the NRL.
Mate, they were good. They were good. I was up there on the head table.
Steve Volandy did book me, so had to...
No, mate, I actually was sitting with Yvonne Sampson, my old mate Vonnie.
I have a huge crush on Yvonne, and I think Chris O'Keefe is a very lucky man because he's got a fucking rude head. And he's a bit too chatty for my liking, don't you reckon? A bit too lippy.
Mate,
and Yvonne is an angel.
Mate, Yvonne's one of the great humans.
But also a beautiful woman who can talk footy. What else would you want?
Oh, mate, and she knows her footy. But it's also she's one of those people. She just loves footy, loves sport, loves her. Like, she's one of the people like that. I think sometimes if you work in sport, you can fall into the trap of treating it, because it is a job and it's serious and it's hard to keep your job and that sort of stuff. You can think of it as a bit more serious than it is and take it too seriously and look to. Whereas you got to remember, the whole thing's supposed to be fun. And
they're kicking a ball around.
Yeah, and Vonnie has that.
Well, and also not to like play down her job, but she is the anchor. She's there to keep things light. She doesn't have to do the in-depth analysis. She would, but her job is to just keep things happening.
Mate, her job is deceptively, like when it's done well, like she does it, it looks so easy. And then there's even little things where you're just like, I don't know. Like, and most of the audience wouldn't know why they didn't like it as much, but it's the subtle things. She knows how to ask the right question because she's very cluey about the game and knows stuff. But she's also like, she's not going to look down the barrel of the camera and say this and this and this. She'll turn to the experts and ask that pointed question to say, and it's that thing you go, I wonder if that is right. And then you hear the expert explain what's going on.
Well, and she's often accompanied by Brandy and these experts that you do want to hear from, and she can sit back and get things out of them and ask those right questions. But I've got a lot of time for her. I'm a big fan of her, and I think like I got into this sort of thing because I want to be an anchor, and I think you learn from people like that because they're great anchors. I grew up like idolizing people like Blackers and Pagey and people on the telly who can do those jobs because they are hard to do, but when done right, they just help the broadcast or the show or whatever. And like you've kind of got that ability as well, especially in your radio work. Like when you're anchoring a show, you're definitely pushing the buttons and forward selling and getting guests to open up and do all that stuff. But you've got that skill.
Oh, mate, it's all just practice.
Would you ever try it on the telly?
Mate, I'd love to. It's not like I'm knocking back offers. Let's just say that.
I heard you had Deal or No Deal.
Mate, well, you know what I mean. We went for a camera test and I couldn't. It's the fucking vest, mate.
Yeah.
They want a guy who can wear a vest under his jacket, and they're just like, you look too big, mate. You look too big.
We're going to need a bigger vest. But also every time they opened a case, you're like, fuck!
Fucking
just getting too emotional.
Just under my breath, like, there you go, 16. Fucking idiot.
I did used to like when O'Keefe would, like, if something bad happened, he would just walk off stage, like, do the walk
okay,
off.
well,
that's a good bit.
I think, okay, something bad's been happening a lot. He's got a lot of walking off now.
Yeah.
But I'd get a little too emotionally invested. I'd be the guy, like, when, the person in the crowd goes, I think I've got the 30 grand. And they open and they got the 30 grand. I'm like, you fucking idiot. You just ruined it for this pork. Like, I'd be starting fights with the people.
I kind of wish they would do an adults only Deal or No Deal where you could swear and do some funny gags.
Fucking hell.
Get your tits out and shit like that.
Yeah, what are you going to use this for? Fuck, mate.
We're going to the gas. We're getting coke. We're getting strippers.
We're actually going to build a sex swing in our bedroom.
We got to reinforce the roof so we could hoist this thing up there.
Yeah. Look, look, mate, she had a gambling problem for a long time. We're kind of in the hole.
We got credit cards up to our a-hole. We got to pay these bad boys.
Mate, we had kids when we shouldn't have. She's got a real fucking problem with alcohol. She's lost the job. I'm just keeping it together. We need this.
I got a massive foreskin. I'm hoping for a circumcision.
Yeah.
Just some weird things
just
coming
some
through. That'd be great. They should do a call out of like people that want money for weird things and then get them on there, and then they've got to explain their narrative and explain how they got there. And
say, like, I think, like, I don't know if they go into enough, like, you know, when you talk about, like they don't go into, like, they say, oh, we need some landscape for our house because we did a reno.
It's a 22-minute
What are we
show.
talking?
Yeah, like
what are we talking?
Honestly,
do you want a fish pond?
So I watched the show. I watched 5 minutes of the show just to get the name,
Yep,
why they picked the number, and what they want to do with the money. That's pretty much all Grant will say. They don't ever delve into anything much deeper than that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I want him to be like, so what sort of landscape? Like, what are we talking?
Yeah. What soil? Topsoil? We're getting a bit of buffalo. We're getting a bit of this.
Whereabouts? Yeah, you're on. Are you on bedrock? What are we talking?
What way does your face? Is your house face?
Oh, yes. What with the block?
Get Jamie Drew. Get a consulter in there.
South facing block, north facing block. This is going to make a difference to your landscaping because obviously, you know, we don't get enough sunlight to support, you know. To support a lot of the plants.
We're going to have to go with some succulents. And,
You know what? There's a back spot that winter grass would probably survive most of the year round.
Yeah, we can get a bit of spinach going as well. And
Mate, imagine that. Veggie patch.
Then
the follow-up after Deal or No Deal.
Like
follow up, like
2 years later, what have you done with your
what'd
life?
you do with the $10? He wanted a Coke, no sugar, and I got a sausage roll.
You wouldn't.
And they're $10. You got that with 10 minutes. Well, no, we had to chip in 2 of our own. But
we had to go to the service stations before 12 p.m. when they had the special meal deal offer.
Yeah.
Do they give them the $10 or they just don't worry about it?
Ooh, I'd imagine it. No, they'd have to.
Mate, I would rather
legally
they'd
have to.
Yeah,
but I want to know. I'd love to see them like have the cash, like, you know how they used to like wheel out the thing, the suitcase with the whole thing. Just open a suitcase with $10,
but it's in coins. It's 5-cent pieces.
Yeah, even not just 5 cents, just one $10, nice crisp $10 note. There you go. Oh, do we get to keep this? No, fuck that. The suitcase is worth like $600.
Have you got change for a 20?
Yeah,
I actually bought a briefcase.
Really?
So there was a prop briefcase on eBay going for a lot of money, but it was the original O'Keefe $200,000 briefcase that they used on the show. And
so people are thinking, "Fuck, there's something."
It was. I could have gotten it, but it would have blown the budget out for this show.
How much are we talking?
Not that much. I feel bad saying it, but it was only like a bit under $400. I should have got it.
$400.
I should have got it.
$400 for a return of 200,000. That's an investment.
I'm investing my life into doing a podcast about Deal or No Deal. I should have bought a $400 briefcase.
You've really picked a briefcase. This is a metaphorical briefcase you're hoping pays off, isn't it? So, you're riding this all the way to the end of the podcast briefcases.
I looked on eBay and there was a NBC briefcase up for, and it was a lot cheaper, but it was a promo briefcase. It wasn't used on the show. I think it might be at the post office. I think I'm about to head over to the Shire to do a podcast with you.
Yes.
And I might swing by Lane Cove post office and see if we've got the briefcase.
Oh, how good.
And then I can bring it on your show with $10 inside.
Yes. Please do. That'd be great.
All right, we got to get out of here. Andrew, Barnett, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for playing along. And we got to get out of here. Keep dealing. What's the deal with everything? And have a good one. Bye.
Bye.